Hi, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the SoCal Prep Report. I'm Rich Estrella, and this is our one-on-one series. And today, we're coming to you from the Body Shop in Lakewood, and we're visiting with Joey Davis, the former Santa Fe High School wrestler. Joey had a storied high school career in wrestling and football, got to the pinnacle. Joey, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you, Rich.
All right, Joey, let's talk about your time at Santa Fe High School. You were an outstanding wrestler. 2 state championships. Second place finish your sophomore year. You even participated your freshman year. Talk about your days at Santa Fe. Those must have been some golden years for you, man. A lot of tradition there.
Oh, a lot of tradition. It's my maturity years, you know what I mean? And I was just fortunate and blessed to go to a high school that had decent wrestling and had decent football in their categories. And that was just a place I always wanted to go where I could kind of do both sports. And talking about my career, man, I worked hard. I always worked hard, but my freshman year, you know, it's kind of like a learning expression. You know what I mean? You don't know what you're really getting yourself into at the time. And I got my butt kicked. I probably had 14 losses in my early career. I was 14 and had 14 losses. What a coincidence. You know what I mean?
I'm surprised you didn't quit. Most guys would have.
Oh yeah, there's no quitting me. You know, Dad raised a warrior, Mom raised a warrior, and it was. And I just had a really good career. I took second as a sophomore. And after my sophomore year, I just flipped that switch. I said, I want to be the best.
Any intimidation at a school like Santa Fe where they had so many state champions, national champions?
Yes.
I mean, a lot of intimidation there. Any of that with you going into that, or because you had an early background, you were ready to go?
Yeah, I mean, I got my butt kicked at my high school. We had a kid named Marcus Arona. You know what I mean? He took third in Ironman, lost to Logan Stieber, who's the best wrestler in our country now. So he used to come in there and really work with me and get my mental game right and let me know that staying humbled is the key. You know what I mean?
That's right.
I had a big name coming into Santa Fe a little bit from, you know, just the youth wrestling, and he humbled me a lot. And so that's what pretty much was the key to my whole success, was just staying humbled and working hard and making sure I keep my head down and just keep striving for greatness.
Now, a lot of people don't know, Joey Davis also played football on All-Sky running back and All-Star. Played in several All-Star games. Your passion for football, man, was there any struggle? Like, you know, I'm a pretty good running back. I have the size to go to the next level. Was there any inner struggle wanting to play one sport more than the other?
Man, Rich, that's an excellent question. Football is my dream. That was what I wanted to do the whole time, man, was go to NFL and then had those aspirations. But my dad told me, you know, everybody plays football. You know, everybody around that you know plays football, and everybody doesn't try to go to NFL. But you could probably do something different and go the hard route and make something out of nothing. That
Make
you
your own road.
Make my own road. So football was, you know, I had a legendary coach, Jack Mostad, who I played for, and I always wanted to play for a historian guy like that. I always wanted to play for, you know, guys that, you know, been around the ropes, and I thought I can probably get me in the taste of, you know, I didn't know what I could do with football, but I had scholarships from Oregon, had scholarships from USC, UCLA, all the big top schools, and they liked the way I play, but, you know, but my schooling wasn't the best, so I kind of just knew that wrestling was going to be the route for me, and it made me a historian in the sport, so I was very lucky.
Joey, he says he's a historian. No, he's historic on his own right, undefeated in college. So another Dan Gable in the making. You did play for the legendary Jack Mostad, and I could see where if football would be your deal, because like I said, you had the size. I saw you play. You were amazing running back. So let's talk about Notre Dame. You get the scholarship Notre Dame, Ohio, and you tear it up there, man. You go. Joey Davis doesn't lose.
Yeah, I get to Notre Dame, man, and had one of the best wrestling teams I can ever be a part of, man. I had a whole bunch of guys that didn't give a crap about me, you know what I mean, coming from California. You know, they wanted to see what the hype was about and stuff like that, and they pushed me to the limits. I mean, battle marks every day, battle wounds every day, fights every day, and it made me the person I am today. And I had another legendary coach named Romano, you know what I mean, Frank Romano, who's been coaching there for almost 35 years. So I was
stability there.
Yeah, I was really blessed to play football for a coach named Jack Mostad and wrestle for a guy named Frank Romano. And he took me under his wing and he showed me the ropes and just gave me all the stepping stones I needed. You know what I mean? But he wasn't the main guy who recruited me. The main guy was Anthony Ralph, who's now at Ohio State. And I wouldn't have been the wrestler or nobody I was if it wasn't for those two guys. And another coach, Rich, too, who coached with Kel Sanderson. He coached me, and he coached Marcus Levester. And those three guys, Rich, are the only 4-time NCAA champions undefeated. And this guy coached his name Sonny Marchetti. It was a coincidence that this one coach coached all the 4-timers, undefeated.
And got you.
And got me. It's only 3 of us.
Yeah.
Marcus Levester, Kel Sanderson, and me.
Right.
And he was one of our coaches named Sonny Marchetti. So I was with 3 coaches that I had no choice but to proceed and be the best.
You know, one thing, too, we didn't talk about during this high school career that I had never seen before, and I've covered this stuff a long time and participated in it. I never saw a team not send a wrestler out to wrestle. Just because basically they were in fear, because it happened to you more than once, more than twice. I mean, it was unbelievable that they would not send somebody out to face you. I don't get the strategy in that. We talked about how anything can happen in a match. You know this. Injuries can happen at any time.
Oh, yeah.
Why not take that chance and try to beat the Goliath here? Why wouldn't they do it? How did you feel about that, man?
I guess it was the Iceman name, Rich. The Iceman, and Snoop Dogg gave me the hype.
Did you feel slighted in a way that you didn't get to participate? In other words, how do you keep sharp at that level in high school when you had people would just duck you, man?
Man, my coaches kept me humble. Rich is the best answer I give you. But, I mean, it kind of felt, to be honest, it kind of feels good when you know that nobody wants to compete against you. You know, you're kind of doing the right things.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But who works out with you, man? How do you get a peer?
Sometimes, sometimes I just will do things on my own. I have a very sick work ethic. You know what I mean? Everybody says they does. Everybody say they work hard. Everybody says, but I really have a really sick work ethic, and I want to be the best at everything I do. I study a lot. I do everything right by the book, almost. I'm not a perfect kid, but when it comes to business and doing what I got to do to win, I'm sick with it. I'm like wicked. And I think people saw that in me in high school and knew that I had cauliflower ears early and then that this kid's serious. He's for real. So
if you see a kid with cauliflower ears, just for all you kids out there, that's the one kid you do not want to mess with. Just saying, all right? Just saying. Don't mess with the kid with the cauliflower ear. When did you decide to go into MMA as a profession? Because right now that is your profession. You are a professional.
Yes. I'm gonna say this, Rich. It wasn't even a choice. It kind of was like landed there for me. You know what I mean?
It chose you.
It chose me, man. And after I won my 4th consecutive title in college, I needed summer money. You know what I mean? Doing my family is, don't have the most money, and my mom's, we all struggle, but my Uncle Tone just gave me the opportunity and said, you can't waste your opportunity. Your time is now.
Time is now.
And
exactly.
I had to take it at the moment, and I've been working ever since, and things are coming along better for me now.
But you dig this, man. Don't say you don't. You gotta love this, because this is what you've been doing. I mean, I remember your first pro fight. It was at the pond. And you were fighting a guy with a lot more experience than you, but you went back to your basics, man. You went back to your roots, takedowns, tying him up. You let him up, you tear him up. You didn't let him
Man, and Rich,
get to you.
That's an excellent. I'm glad you brought this fight up, man. That fight scared me in a lot of ways nobody knows about. Man, I didn't want to say the guy was easy or nothing, but if you don't work at all your abilities and skills, you would not pay off. You know what I mean? And I thought that I had the easy way because I was a decent, and it saved me. Don't get me wrong.
No, it did save you that day. I saw that.
There was a lot of things emotionally. I'm like, dang, this guy's not quitting. You know what I mean? He wasn't quitting, and it made me the fighter I am today. And I thank Keith Bone Catrone for the opportunity in the fight, because, man, you made me even more of an assassin and more of a freak of nature, because now I know what I have to do, and from one fight. You know what I mean?
Well, this guy obviously had pro fights, and Joe, you hadn't had any pro fights yet in the ring, and it's a little bit different from being in here working out with some of these killers in here versus getting in a ring with 15,000 people screaming and the lights are on you guys. You are the center focal point. So there's a lot more to it than just on the peripheral than just getting in there and fighting, man. There's a lot of things, man.
Absolutely.
I've seen deer in the headlights before, but I remember that fight was a good fight for you. I thought it was, and again, I saw you just go back because it was so effortless to take him down. He didn't have a shot. I mean, just like a boxer can pick and choose and how he's going to get in, this guy take you off your feet at any time. And that's what happened in that fight.
Absolutely.
He must have took about 6, 7 takedowns in the latter stages in a row. And he couldn't do anything about it. He couldn't even hit you on the way in. It was so fluid, so effortless, and it was a good deal. So now you're fighting. What's your record now? 7-0, 6-0? You're undefeated in Bellator.
3-0, Rich.
Oh, 3-0? Man, I see a lot of fights, and I know your counterpart here, your workout partner, AJ McKee, is like 7 or 8-0. He's
11-0.
He's 11-0 now. See what I mean? I was just taking the aggregate here. You know what I mean here, Joey? But talk about Bellator now, because that is, without question, that's pretty much on par with the UFC. I mean, I think if you guys took their best and your best, it'd be a draw.
Yeah, absolutely. Bellator is, man, has blessed me, and I'm just thankful because they really like me. I feel, and I feel like they should like me. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm probably one of the best young up and comers coming up. You know, because I want to be the best. I want to be the champion. No doubt in my mind that I don't think I can, but you know, they blessed me, Baby Slice, AJ, Aaron Pico, and we're the rising stars, man. And
that's right, Pico too. Yeah.
It's very scary what the team can really be. And we're all young. Slice is the leading king. He's the oldest. He's 25. I'm 24. I believe AJ's 23. And Pico's 21. So we're all around the same age, and it's just awesome.
It's crazy, man. And all these guys came up together. They all know each other, which is also, in a way, it's got to be comforting to have teammates that you really know. You know you can rely on these guys for anything, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And that's got to be helpful. I know you're fighting this week. Let's talk about your opponent real quick, man. What do you got coming up, man? This is your number 4.
Number 4, man, fighting against Craig Craspot. I believe that's his name. He's Cuban. We call him the Grasshopper. He's gonna throw a lot of jabs. He's gonna be throwing a lot of kicks and stuff. I'm more than well prepared for him, and I'm just ready. I hope he's ready, and let's put on the show for the fans, because you know all the fans they're the ones that come out and pay to see us, and I'm happy that Bellator has blessed me to showcase my talent around the world, because wrestling you couldn't show your talent all across the world. Flow is very picky at what they do.
Right.
And so I was always good enough, and I couldn't always show the best of my abilities to everybody, so nobody really knew me. But now Bellator has gave me that platform to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Your trainer, Antonio McKee, right now, one of the best in the business. Talk about Antonio real quick. What he's done for you.
Man, he is my he's my role model. He's my life. He's my everything. Without him, I'd probably be somewhere, you know, doing something I should.
Something else. Just doing something else.
Yeah. So I listen to him very precisely and very particular, like it's like I'm a computer or something. You know what I mean? It's like if he programmed me into this, and I'm not gonna let him down.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because he didn't let me down. You know what I mean? It's been plenty of times the dude didn't want to train me. And I don't know how he did it. And dealing with my father, Rich, you know how my father is. So, I am just extrememally honored and blessed for Antonio McKee. Like, words can't even explain it. So I just try to show him that I'm here for you. I'm here for you. But he just sometimes behind him. But I'm his prodigy and I'm his prize. I'm gonna make him a lot of money one day.
Oh yes, I have no doubt. And we're gonna have Antonio on one of these shows. And you better put on your chin strap and your helmet and just sit back, man, and hang on, actually. Because he's full of energy. Antonio's just an outstanding trainer and just unbelievable guy. So, Joey, I know you got to get going. Thanks for giving us this time, man. Because I know you got a big fight coming up Friday. It's 4 days away, and you got to get busy. So thanks for your time, man. Congratulations,
man. Man, we've been knowing each other for a long time.
Very good. Yeah, we have.
My first interview with you was my first kiss of my girlfriend, just to be honest with you.
Are you serious?
So I'll never forget you. It's pretty funny. But
right on, man. Those are back in the days, back in the high school days. All right, Joey, thanks again, man.
Thank you.
Exploring LA County's trails is now a click away. A mobile-friendly trail locator lets you discover all our county's scenic hikes. It features an interactive map that takes you inside the trail. From the elevation to the temperature, what you need to know is at your fingertips. Wondering if your dog, horse, or bike is welcome? It has that too. So discover some of LA's best-kept secrets and happy trails to you.
All right, KM3 Project, get on their website, have a look at them. They support people who have cancer. They pay their bills, man, when they need it done. So that's a good place to look. If you're going to donate to a charity, that's the one to go. No money to research, all goes to helping people live with their affliction. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. And now we're talking with Joshua Jones. Joshua fights with Bellator as well. He went to high school at Los Alamitos High, wrestled for Kenny Torres. Joshua, thanks for joining us today, man.
Thank you.
All right, man. I know you got to get back to your workout. Let's talk a little quick about your high school career. You said you went out for wrestling. It was kind of inadvertent. It wasn't in your heart at first, was it now?
No, not at all. Just something I had to do. Something my mother forced me to do, join a sport and just be part of a team. And after the first week of practice, I fell in love with it.
Mm-hmm. Man, you got to thank your mom for that now, huh? She knew something was going on. You have to do something.
She's kicking herself now that I fight, now that I transferred into fighting. She was like, I wish I would have never told him to wrestle.
Yeah, well. So talk about your high school experience in wrestling. You said you came in, you were probably a little overweight, you weren't much of an athlete, but man, once you got into it, something went on in your head.
I was about 190 my freshman year, 5'5", and come sophomore year through as a senior, I was 140 pounds, 5'8", so yeah, I shredded up quite nicely.
Worked out really good. Talk about your program at Los Al, man. What was going on over there?
It was a good program. We also had Patrick Calderwalder, who ran SoCal Wrestling.
Yep.
So I was training with him at night, and a bunch of state champs like Tank, McIntosh, all those guys. And during the day, I was grinding with the varsity squad. I would stay after practice and get my butt kicked by all the varsity guys until I turned the ties, and I was kicking their butt by junior year. So yeah, it was a great program. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I'm glad I didn't make the football team.
Now, Joey Davis was telling us, he lost his first 14 matches in high school, if you can believe that.
No, I don't believe it.
And
no way.
he had no quit in him at all. How did you feel not succeeding your second year?
Yeah, my first year, I think I only won maybe like 4 matches out of the whole season.
Yeah.
But by the end of the year, I could see my progress. That's what it was. When I first started, I mean, I had nothing, and by the end of the year, I shouldn't. I was hitting moves that I learned at the beginning of the year, and I could see the progression, so that's what got me hooked and kept me in it.
Yeah, definitely. So you were good enough to get into CIF, right?
Correct. I placed in CIF, made it to Masters. I lateral dropped the kid who took second in Masters on his back, so I had a close match with him. It was a 2-point match, but yeah, I didn't place in Masters and make it to state.
Just so you guys know what that is, you can get disqualified. They call it a DQ in wrestling, and if there's rules. There's a lot of rules. There's no eye gouging. There's no groin punching. You can't fish hook anybody. It's not really a street fight. But you're not allowed to pick them up and just drop them. And what happens sometimes, you're getting ready to pick them up and you're going to put them down safely, but they start kicking and start wiggling like a fish on a hook, and they fall. And when they fall, if they get hurt, you're DQ'd.
Yeah.
That's what happens. It's happened to Joey, so.
Yeah, it happens.
It happens. It happens out there. All right, so after CIF, you get out of high school, you decide you're going to go in the military?
Yeah, right out of high school, I was poor and had no money.
Everybody is
close to being homeless. So I like to go on long runs, and right by where I lived was a National Guard base. I seen a big poster of a 20 grand signing bonus, school money, and I was like,
wow, yeah,
problem solved.
Yeah, isn't that neat how that works out sometimes?
Yeah, so signed up, went to boot camp, came back, went straight to Cerritos College, enrolled, and started wrestling with them and taking classes. And that was the next 4 years of my life after high school.
Now, isn't it funny how you went to Cerritos College and so did your mentor, Antonio McKee?
Yeah, that's crazy.
2-time state champ. Both times he was there, he won state. Legend over there.
Yeah.
In the Hall of Fame and everything else. Talk about Antonio as a trainer.
He's crazy, man. Because he's both a trainer and a competitor.
Right.
So I mean, since I started, he's just been wrecking me, just like a man and a child. And when I can give him good goes back and scramble with them and give him good looks and get him tired, that's how I know I'm in shape. But even then, he's still tossing me around. He's a freak of nature, 50 years old, still tossing around young bucks like it's easy work.
He's a specimen, man. He's out of his head.
Yeah.
Now, what made you get into MMA after you finished at Cerritos and got out of the military? What made you decide to make the crossover?
I turned 21 and started going to bars every night, eating Jack in the Box at 2 in the morning, and blew up to like 210 pounds. And I wasn't wrestling anymore, so I just, my body wouldn't let me get away with it. I blew up, and I was like, man, I need to do something. Some of my old college wrestling buddies were training here at the time, and I was a fan of the sport before I was a competitor. And I was like, man, let me just try my hand at this, at least just let me see how I do. And came here, talked to Tony. He was like, you can either pay me 50 and compete in my amateur show, or pay me 100 and just train with us. And I was like, I'll do the $50 a month, and I want to fight. So 3 months later, after training, I had my first amateur fight.
Okay. Now, I always love asking this question. Talk about your first amateur fight, man, because you know what? It's different than being out here, as we talked with Joey about.
It is, but luckily wrestling's the best base for MMA. Some wrestlers can rely on it too much. I sure did when I first started, but my first 3 fights, I just completely demolished guys, took them down, mounted them, and just ground and pounded them. I had 0 stand-up, but it didn't matter because the guys I fought had 0 wrestling. So.
What about that transition? I've always wanted to ask you this, and is the transition in high school wrestling, college wrestling, the idea is to put a guy on his back, pin his shoulder blades, put him down, hold him there for a couple seconds, boom, match over. In MMA, you do not ever, you always want to be on your stomach. I mean, on your back. You don't want to be on your stomach. It's different. It's totally 180.
Yeah, well, Antonio has a partner, Tracy Hess. I started training with him as well. And when I train with him, he's more of a jiu-jitsu oriented guy. Tony's a wrestling oriented guy. So at night practice, I would do nothing but start on my back. So I could get out of that mindset of always, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because a lot of wrestlers, they go to their back and they freak out. But I developed my all-around game by I started on my back the first 3 years of my MMA career. And
that's a real smart way to do it.
Yeah, I'm dangerous off my back and on top.
Where'd you get that idea to do that?
I just thought about it. I was like, when I got taken down one time in a fight, and I freaked out. I didn't like it, and I felt uncomfortable. I went straight to my stomach, and I was like, man, I need to just keep starting on my back and just get comfortable there. Like, I can still get up, no problem, but if I want to submit someone off my back, I will.
Yeah, again, in high school wrestling, you always want to be on your stomach, because the idea is to get your shoulders pinned, but in MMA, that's bad because they take your throat.
Yeah.
They take your wind.
Exactly.
Is what ends up happening. Your first pro fight, talk about that, because that's even worse than the first amateur fight.
That went pretty well as also, actually. I had finally got out of my wrestling mode, developed my stand-up, and the guy actually came right out. This right here, this scar right here, this Thunderbolt. That was from my very first MMA fight. He came out, 1-2, knee up the middle, split me open, took him down, recovered, was like, all right, you got to fight now. Second round started. I was already mad because he split me wide open. I could see the ref was eyeballing the cut, so I just ran out, left hand, dropped him, just flurried him, and got a TKO finish in the second round.
The mindset in those matches, the first couple of matches, especially as a pro, it's got to be different than when you're an amateur, because a lot of people paying money come see you. They're screaming their heads off. The lights are they're focused just on you now. Everything else is dark.
Everything counts. An amateur, your record, it doesn't really matter. No one cares what your amateur record is. But once you turn pro, you can't go back, and every win counts, every loss counts. So,
But the mindset going in, is it kind of weird? I mean, you got to make that long walk. You're thinking, are you able to block everything out?
I don't
most
get
good athletes?
Luckily, I have so many amateur fights that I don't get nerves anymore.
Right.
I mean, you get a little natural competition lethargicness before, but I sip some coffee, get a hard warm up, blow my wad, and I really don't get nervous anymore.
So
I've been in there too many times.
When you guys are working out, normally in these, everybody's in one locker room pretty much. Actually, there's 2 camps, right?
Yeah, you usually got the main card guys and then the prelim guys.
Are you ever in the same area warming up with your opponent?
In amateur, we were, not as a pro. As a pro, you get 2 separate locker rooms.
Yeah, I think it's better that way, don't you think?
Yeah.
Stuff kind of starts in those locker rooms.
Like I say, amateur prepares you for a lot. That's why I was so happy I did a long amateur career. It prepares you for all the worst scenarios. You know what I mean? I've literally had to warm up in a space this big right here with 10 other dudes.
Yeah.
Just bouncing in place.
Yep.
And
That's all you can do.
That's all the warm up I get.
Yeah.
So I mean, how it's set up now, I mean, it would take a lot to fluster me. There's nothing I haven't really seen yet.
Now, you've been with Team Body Shop now for a little bit. You have a
6 years.
7-2 amateur, pro record right now, which is really good. Talk about your teammates, man, because it seems like all your teammates here, they're all world class. These guys are all killers.
Superstars, yeah. I train with a bunch of superstars, and it's funny because I've trained with them before they were superstars. I trained with them when they were kids, AJ, Joey, I was training with them while they were in high school.
Right.
I was in college, and then they just came out of college and just started wrecking shop, and yeah, those are my training partners. We get good goes, we push each other, and we have a great camp.
When you guys go to matches, I mean, do you guys go as a group? You guys just show up on your own? I mean, what's that all about as a team?
There's kind of cliques, so we go with our own cliques and whatnot. I'll probably roll up with my other training partner, Gabe, from my night gym, and then Joey will probably go with his dad and Antonio. But when it comes down to fight day, you know what I mean, we're all in each other's corners.
Do you have that routine down where you don't want to break that? Whatever you're doing that day, you don't want to break routine? I mean, if you get up and have breakfast at 6, 7, 8, or maybe you don't eat it in the morning the day of the fight. Do you have that routine?
I don't have a set routine. It just depends on how hard the weight cut is. You know, I mean, sometimes I don't have an appetite for the day after weigh-ins and competition day. I have to force myself to eat stuff. So it just depends how hard the weight cut is. I just see how my body feels, listen to that, and go from there.
Talk about your long-term goals in this sport, whatever they may be.
You know, I just do this for the love of it. I actually have a full-time job. I'm a train engineer. So I have a very good career that I'm going to do 30 years in and retire and have a great retirement. So all this is just cream on top. I use it for vacation money.
Yeah, there you go.
Improving my house, and you know, if I make it, I made it to the big show. I'm in Bellator.
Right.
But wherever I go from here, if I start fighting top-notch competition, you know what I mean, moving up in the ranks, great. If not, you know what I mean, I gave it my best go. I give it everything I have in practice and in my fights, and wherever the chips fall, that's where they fall. But at least I can look back and be like, I didn't just work my life away. I tried to achieve my dreams and gave it my best shot.
Who are some of your guys you looked up to? I don't want to say idols, but some of the guys, we all have our people we try to pattern ourselves after. For me, it was Deacon Jones. That was that great on the football field, right? So, I mean, there's got to be guys out there, because this sport's old now.
Yeah.
It's older than you.
Well, my favorite fighters would have to be Frankie Edgar. Frankie Edgar always shows a ton of heart, great cardio, great wrestling, great all-around game. And now that I've gotten out of my wrestling mode and I throw a lot of what I like to call ninja stuff, I really like Anthony Pettis' style. I've been a big fan of his forever also. So I'm always trying to mimic those two guys. You know what I mean? The cardio with the ninja style of Pettis and just the unpredictability. I try and be well-rounded everywhere.
Do you remember your first fight you ever saw? A UFC fight or MMA fight?
Yeah, I watched the first Ultimate Fighter. That's what got me into it in high school. I watched the very first Ultimate Fighter, and that got me hooked.
God, it's kind of hard to believe that the Ultimate Fighter is that old now. It's been out that long ago.
Yeah,
because,
like 10, 12 years or something.
Yeah, some of the early fights, 25, 30 years, whatever it was, basically no frills, just guys getting in there, and there was no weight classes.
Yeah.
It was the last man standing, which was really crazy. And to see a guy like Hoist Gracie trying to take down Dan Severin, who's like 230, and Gracie's 170, but he did it.
I watched all those after the first
Coleman.
Ultimate Fighter, and like started studying it and seeing where it came from, and it was crazy. Yeah, it was
These guys started out bare knuckles in a
Wild West back then, for sure.
It was great.
Yeah.
Could you imagine being in that way? Man, absolutely no rules. Real quick, you're married? You have any kids?
Just 4 fur babies. I got 2 cats and 2 dogs.
Right on.
No kids.
What's your wife think of this sport? What you're doing?
You know, she kind of she didn't think much of it at first, but once I got 6-0 as a pro and people started noticing me more and whatnot, she was kind of like, well, you're actually, you're getting pretty good there. I'm like, yeah, I told you.
Get on the bandwagon,
hard
girl.
work pays off. Yeah. So she loves it now.
Drinks.
She actually trains with me, and
That's good.
I train her in my off time. She's actually progressed. She couldn't throw a punch to save her life when she first started. Now she's a little ninja herself, throwing high kicks.
Now you got to watch it, huh?
Spinning stuff. Yeah,
They got to watch it around the house.
Exactly.
All right, Josh. Well, listen, it's been great meeting you, first of all.
Thank you.
Congratulations so far on your career. Good luck. Your next fight coming up.
Yep.
On Friday.
Friday, 29th, Pachanga.
We'll be following your career now, man.
Sounds good.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to wrap it up here from the Body Shop. Remember, this is our one-on-one series. We're going to have California Hall of Fame possibly coming up in next week. And we're still going to talk with Anthony White, the only athlete to win football player, that is, in high school, to win the high school Heisman in Southern California. On behalf of Larry Zavala and the casting crew here, Joey Davis and, of course, Josh Jones, I'm Richard Stracy, and so long from your friends here at the SoCal Rep Report.